Modal verbs part 1. Hey everyone, I'm back to you with another video that is so practical. Modal verbs. Here is a list of the modal verbs in English: can, could, may, might, will, would, must, ought to, shall, should. Good. Modal verbs are used to show if people believe something is certain, something is possible, or even impossible. They're highly practical in both speaking and writing, and also tests, some multiple choice tests. Good. Here is a general overview. My books must be in the house. My books must be in the house. Must is a modal verb. After the modal verb, this is a general rule. This is the first rule. Use the basic form of the verb, the base form. You don't say am, you don't say is, you don't say are. You use the base form be. It might rain next week. You don't say it might rains next week. You say it rains, it is raining, but when you use the modal, you use the base form. That cannot be my father's car. That cannot be my father's car. Again, you see that we have the base form of the verb be. We use modals when we want to talk about ability, that is to show the ability. When we ask for permission, to ask for something. When we want to show necessity. When we want to make requests. And even when we want to make offers. Here are some short sentences. I can speak Spanish. I can speak Spanish. This shows ability. She must study hard to pass her exams. This shows necessity. Basically, we say she studies. She studies. But when we have a modal verb before the main verb, we use the base form. She must study hard to pass her exams. You should call her parents. This is when we want to talk about advice. Advice, when you want to give advice to someone. You should call your parents. It's a kind of advice. He may be late. He may be late. Again, that is the possibility. There is a kind of possibility that he might not be on time. He might be late. Good. That was a general overview of the modal verbs. Now here we have them in question formats. May I ask a question? May I ask a question? In fact, here, this sentence seems to be in a question format. You're also asking for something. May I ask a question? Means, am I allowed to ask a question? Can I ask a question? Could I have some coffee, please? Could I have some coffee, please? You're politely asking for coffee. You are politely asking for coffee. Indirectly asking for coffee. Would you like to join me? Would you like to join me? Again, this is in a question format. You're asking for the possibility if that person, he or she, would like to join you. When using modal verbs, you need to consider some rules. You need to pay attention to these rules. Modal verbs are different from normal verbs. How? They don't use an S for the third person singular. That can be the most important rule. Well, simply you can say they go. But when you have can, you say they can go. They can go. You say he goes. He goes. This is what you usually say. He goes, but you say he can go. He can go. Well, we don't say he can goes. That is not possible. Let me cross it. Well, he can go. After the modal verb can, here we use the base form of the verb. She sings. She sings, she can sing. She can sing. Because you have can, here you use sing without S. So sings here is not used, is not allowed, of course. Now let's get to rule number 2 for modal verbs. Modal verbs make questions by inversion. What is inversion? Changing the place. Change of place of what? Subject and the verb. Subject and the helping verb, the auxiliary verb. Well, here you have a sentence. He can drive a car. He can drive a car. He is the subject. Can drive is the verb. Can is the modal verb. That is the helping verb. Drive is the main verb. Now, when you want to make a question, you say, can he drive a car? Can he drive a car? You have can here, the helping verb, at the beginning. Then you have the subject. Then you have the main verb. So you change the place of the subject and the helping verb here. Another sentence. She will go shopping tomorrow. Will go shopping tomorrow. You have the helping verb will and the main verb go shopping tomorrow. They're together. When you want to make a question, you say, will she go shopping tomorrow? Will she go shopping tomorrow? You place will at the beginning. Then you have the subject he, she, and then you have go shopping, the main verb. Now, this is inversion, changing the place of subject and the helping verb. Now, the third rule, after modals and the base form of the verb, you can use to in order to start a new verb. Let me make it clear. Here you can say he eats, okay? This is the sentence. The next sentence is he can eat, okay? He can eat. The next sentence is he likes to eat. He likes to eat. He likes to eat. But when you use a modal verb like would in your sentence, you say he would like. He would like. You do not say he likes. He would like. After this verb, you can use to eat. He would like to eat. So when there is a modal verb, after that, the base form. Next one. They might come to inform you. They might come to inform you. You don't say coming. You don't say came. You don't use the past form, okay? She should stay here to help you. She should stay here to help you. We don't say stays. She should stay here. Then you can use to plus a verb to help you. But right after the modal verb here, you cannot use to before the verb. Use the base form of the verb. Good. Now, considering rule number 3, I need to say that for number 4, modal verbs are followed by the base form of the main verb, as we just saw, except for ought to. Ought to. This to is always with ought. They are stuck together. They're together. This ought to is followed by to and the base form of the verb. For example, you simply say he can eat a whole chicken. He can eat a whole chicken. We have can and then we have eat, the base form, without to, without s. But when you have ought to is always here. You ought to listen to your parents. You ought to listen to your parents. When we say ought to, you need to think, you need to consider the point that we have advice and we have ought to. When we say, we have suggestion, a kind of suggestion. We use should. When we say should, it means we have a kind of advice. a kind of recommendation, advice or recommendation. But when we have ought to, we are mainly concerned about moral obligation, I can say, or advice with a sense of duty, a sense of duty. That is the main difference between should and ought to. Okay, next example. You really ought to quit smoking. That is, you're having advice with a sense of duty. What sort of crimes ought the police to concentrate on? What sorts of crimes ought the police to concentrate on? Now, there here you can see a kind of distance between ought and to when you want to make a question format, something like this. Rule number 5. Modal verbs do not have a past tense form, but they use have plus past participle here to express past time. For example, you can say, she could have finished her homework. She could have finished her homework. When you say she could have finished her homework, it means you're talking about a past possibility. They should have studied for the test. They should have studied for the test. Again, this is a kind of recommendation or advice. So could have, past possibility, should, recommendation or advice. Rule number 6 is related to the way we make negatives. Modal verbs can be used in negative sentences. To form a negative sentence with a modal verb, simply place the negative particle not after the modal verb. I can speak Japanese. Here, can is the modal verb, and we place not after that. I cannot. I cannot speak Japanese. They are together. She should stay home this weekend. Should is the modal, stay is the base form. She should not stay home this weekend. Should not stay. This is how we make negatives using modal verbs. Modal verbs can be categorized or classified into different forms. The first one is probability. Probability. Let's read them one by one. It's snowing, so it must be very cold outside. It's snowing, it must be very cold outside. High probability. High probability. It is probable that outside is cold or should be cold. I don't know where John is. He could have missed the train. We talked about this. This shows past possibility. This bill can't be right. $200 for 2 cups of coffee? That is not probable. That is not possible. The next part is ability. You're able, she is able, he is able to do something. She can speak 6 languages, means she is able to speak 6 languages. My father could play golf very well. My father had the ability or still have the ability to play golf. I can't drive that new car. Means I don't know how to drive that new car. I'm not able to drive that new car. The next section is obligation and advice. Obligation, advice. When you say obligation, it means something is necessary. Children must do their homework. Means it is necessary for children to do their homework. We have to wear a uniform at work. We have to wear a uniform at work. Means we must wear a uniform. It is necessary for us to wear a uniform. You should stop smoking. This is a kind of advice. This is a kind of recommendation. But it is not necessary. It is unnecessary. The next category is permission. Permission. We allow someone to do something. Can you watch TV tonight? means are we allowed to watch TV tonight? But this can here does not show ability. Permission, are we allowed? You may not use that car tonight. You may not use that car means you're not allowed to use that car at the moment tonight. Could I leave early today, please? Well, here you're asking for permission, asking for something. Could I leave early today, please? Am I allowed to leave early today? And last but not least, we have habits. Habits. This is also something practical. Practical. We can use will and would to talk about habits or things we usually do or we usually did in the past. When I lived in California, I would often go fishing in the lake. When I was in California, when I lived there, I had the habit of going fishing in the lake. This is the meaning. Do not trust Margaret. She will always be late. It means she has the habit of being late. She has the habit of not being punctual. So far, so good, everyone. Now let's finish it with a multiple choice test. See if we understood well or not. Scientists think that many medicines may still blank in the rainforest of the world be hidden, hide, be hide, and hidden. Well, let's get to this part. Some scientists think that many medicines may still, well, we have the word may here. We have the word may. And here the main verb is hide. Well, it is quite clear that medicines cannot hide themselves. Medicine is not the subject. Medicines cannot hide themselves. So this sentence, this part is not active. This part is passive. Now, when we have passive, you know that we should use the third part of the sentence of the verb. We have hide, hid, hidden. Hide, hid, hidden. Now, when you have passive, generally in passive sentences, you need to use to be verbs. Well, to be here, we say am, is, are, was, were, and been. So far, we learned that after may, if we want to use the base form of the verb, here to be, we need to use these forms. That is, let me put the word be here, be family. After may, we say be. We don't say may is. We don't say may are. We don't say may was. May be. Okay? Good. So this one is not the answer. This one is not the answer. It doesn't have be here. Be hidden, be hide. I told you this sentence is passive. We have the base form be plus the third part of the verb. Hide, hid, hidden. The correct answer is here. Be hidden. Scientists think that many medicines may still be hidden in the rainforest of the world. Thanks for watching, everyone.